Hi folks, happy Valentine's Day or happy Tuesday, depending on your scenario. It's a beautiful day here, Montana Creek, and we had some snow over the weekend, about a foot altogether, and had to plow today. And I decided to do a video on my plow. Uh, I'm on a I'm on several different Facebook groups that pertain to these old Chevy or GMCs, square bodies. And some of these folks are asking about what to do for plowing, how to put the plow on their truck, or does it cause damage, some things like that. So I want to do this video and kind of give you some technical information and some tips, and just kind of go over my plow. And it's a Western plow, and it's an old Chevy. So I know I've seen quite a few people run something like this, so it'll pertain a lot to them. Those that are running other trucks and other types of plows, some of the information will work for you, but some of the other technical information probably won't. So and hopefully you'll find this interesting. Some good information for you. I know some of my automotive videos don't really get a lot of views, the few that I do have, but if someone can use this information and it works for them, then mission accomplished. So we're going to start with a truck. This is Blue Bomber, a 1985 Chevy Suburban. It's a K20, so it's a four-wheel drive, three-quarter ton. For the square body era, K series is four-wheel drive, and C series is two-wheel drive. The numbering system for Chevrolet: 10, 20, 30. 10 is half ton, 20 is three-quarter ton, 30 is 1 ton. For GMC, the C and K is still the same. The weight's a little different. So 15 is half ton, 25 is three-quarter ton, 35 is 1 ton. Got a regular old 350 in there with TH400 transmission with a 208 AC transfer case. It's automatic. Lovely, my dog. And I have a Western plow on here, so let's take a look at the plow here. It's a Western Mark II or Mark II-A. It's a 7.5 foot wide blade, and it's bolted to my chassis. We're going to take a look at the mount here. There's two big parts right here. You have an A-frame right here, has all your hydraulics and your springs, and your blade right here is bolted to it. And then there is this mount, and it's bolted to the front of your chassis. So you have to take your bumper off and your bumper brackets, and some of these are kind of universal, as in they have they're machined for bolts to go through for your frame. This is for the Chevy, so you can see that's on there. There's two braces, or one on each side right here, and it's bolted to the chassis right here, and you can see that bar that goes down there. You want to make sure that when you have them on there that they're good and tight. As far as I know, those are the only holes that I ever had to drill for putting a plow on here. So one thing to keep in mind is, if you don't have hardware, get hardware. Do not, do not, do not, do not weld your plow mount to your chassis. They're actually going to take away strength, and if something happens and you do break your plow, you hit a berm too hard or a rock too hard or something, you're going to rip your plow mount off your chassis, and that's going to cause you a lot of problems. So this is old school. This is about a 40-year-old setup. It's got the cables. It's cable actuated. So here's my lift cable right here, or I should say for my ram, and this is for my angle cable right here. Here's my hydraulic lines right here. Don't mind the orientation. Right now, I just swapped this whole unit out. This was my spare. I just swapped this out the other day, so I need to also change out the hoses from my other setup. I need to get this done so that I can start plowing. Um, Here are your pins, your D-ring pins, your cotter pins on the inside. Your A-frame goes to here, and then this is pinned in here. Don't use bolts. Use the pins. You want that good and tight. You don't want a bunch of slop, because that can also cause problems down the road. I'm not going to go into the headlights. I don't have the headlights wired up, so there's that. One thing to keep in mind, see how I only have one wing on that side right there on the driver's side. See that snow that's packed in there a little bit? Every so often as you're plowing around, clean that out, because that can pack in there and cause a lot of weight. The other thing to keep in mind is if you're plowing up the berms, keep your blade straight if you can. That way you're putting equal pressure on both sides of your A-frame, and the pressure is transferred equally to your plow mount and to your chassis. Because if you have an angle too hard, and say you hit a berm a little too hard, you can actually really tweak and break something. I've done that. So you don't want to do that. And the other thing too is you don't want to hit your snow berms, like over there. You don't want to hit your snow berms hard. I usually just drive right up to them, put my foot off the gas, and let the snow and the berm bring me to a stop. Don't just go right up and ram into it, because that's where you're going to also create problems, and you can tweak your chassis, break your plow, things like that. And if you rely on your plow like as much as I do, because I got a half-mile long driveway, I'm responsible for all that. So if I break my plow, nobody can leave. Nobody can drive in and out, especially when you get 10-foot snows. Not right 10 foot, but I've had 3 feet of snow drop in 24 hours. Actually happened last year. So right here, this is your power cable. It goes to your motor right here. This is your motor. Inside there, there's your pumps inside there and your reservoir. This is this pipe plug right here. This is where you fill your fluid up. Okay. And there's your ground. Obviously the ground cable needs a little bit of help. I'm going to pop open the hood here. Most people have dual battery setups for plows. One of my batteries died, so I'm running single right now. I have a dual post battery. I have a top and side post. So I like my top and side post batteries because, well, multitude of reasons. I won't get involved. So here's your power cable going into your solenoid. That's a commercial grade solenoid, by the way, for commercial plowing. Don't use a chintzy homeowner's style. And I got a spare, my spare solenoid. I'll pop that out for a second and you can read the part numbers off of that. Power cable goes off there. Then here's the air power cable that goes to the motor, which is right there. Here's your red jumper wire. And then this black wire right here goes to your control box. We'll go to the control box here in just a second. One thing that I like to use is I like to use blue. I have blue plow oil, blue hydraulic oil. Don't use ATF, automatic transmission fluid, because ATF has a way of retaining moisture, retaining water. And even though it's, sealed, you still have condensation problems and, stuff like that happens, from winter and summer. And, you definitely want to check your fluids in the summer, or I should say in the fall, before it gets cold. Make sure you don't have water in there. Every once in a while you could take the motor off and use a turkey baster and replace it. But if you pop it open, you can see the oil, as long as it's not like creamy or bubbly or there's like a lot of standing water, you're good. But use the blue stuff. I get that oil from Napa. I'm sure folks can get it wherever they want to, but I use Napa for all that stuff. And here is my control box right here. You can see down on the floor the black wire going into the control box. The joystick's pretty easy. If you have to get into it, you just gotta unscrew the control box off of the pedestal right here and unscrew this, and then you can take your control box out, and there's a back plate, 4 screws. You can open that up. Just make sure to have a hand on it because there is a spring inside the joystick, and it's not under a lot of power, but you don't need to lose any parts that are in there. That black wire right here goes to a plate. There's a plate inside with a couple of contacts, and that wire is just soldered on there. So if something happens, let's say you've replaced your solenoid or something's gone on, and your pump's still not working, your plow's not working, it's not doing anything, you might want to check and make sure that little soldered terminal end of your wire there hasn't broken off. This is your commercial grade solenoid. You can pause that, get a picture of that or whatever if you want. But that's what you want to use. If you ever see the normal ones they would give out, it's a lot smaller and they do burn up. So some folks may go out and buy themselves a used plow truck, and this is going to pertain to everybody. If you are looking at a plow truck and the mount is welded to the frame, don't buy it. Just don't. Check your A-frame, and I'm sorry, there's going to be a bunch of snow on there right now. I just plowed, but you definitely want to check your A-frame, all the points on there, stress points. You could have cracks, fractures, things along that nature. Make sure that your angle rams aren't leaking or scored, like the cylinders are scored. Same with your lift. I've had these go bad. That's a normal thing. They can go bad. So, you might have to replace that every so many years, depending. But that's kind of common. It does happen. If you have, if you're driving it and, just because you got a plow on the front, you got some weight on there, yes. But if you're weaving, like a death wobble, something like that, you might have some frame damage. That's where you might have some frame damage. And, for these older GM trucks, y'all know about the cracks around the steering box. So you can check that, make sure that that's all good, not cracked out. Make sure that when you're test driving it, your 4-wheel drive, you check your 4-wheel drive. You'll be able to tell if your 4-wheel drive's boogered up or not. Some of the same stuff that you would do if you're going to go buy an old truck, you're going to want to do with your plow. And you'll want to do some extra looking into, because of the plow. For the blade itself, as long as it's not rotten out or the cutting edge is all fouled up, you're good to go. You're really going to want to check your hydraulic lines and your A-frame right here and the mount on your truck. Yeah, you definitely want to check that, because if it's all cracked or rusted out, then you have to re-weld all that, and that could take a long time, and that's a lot of work. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Um, like I said, don't be ramming into snow berms, and you'll be good to go. And for those that are running automatics, another thing too, I like to change my transmission fluid every couple of years, um, just because you're doing a lot of backwards and forwards, things along that nature. So you definitely do want to keep an eye on your transmission fluid level, as well as your transfer case level fluid, in case it's got a leak, something like that. Make sure, depending on your transfer case, you use the right fluid. Some transfer cases rely on ATF, some is gear oil. So, um, if you're running old vehicles and you have experience with old vehicles, you already kind of know what you're looking for. Um, Guys that are kind of getting into this, or they're just getting an old beater, these are points for you to kind of look over, make sure that everything's all good to go. So that's all I have to say, folks. I hope you find this video um, interesting. You find some information useful for your purposes. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to respond. I don't always get a chance to respond to all the comments on my videos, but I do appreciate y'all watching. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up, and let me know if you want to see more content like this. I have a lot of train content, of course, but I do have some other vehicle stuff that I'm working on as well. All right, guys, you take care. Have a great day.